from the end of Wano till about the most recent chapter, chapter 1120, I've been thinking about the timeline of events per se from the very end of Wano when Luffy, Law, and Kid went off the mountain in, I think it was chapter 1055, 1056, up to right now. I'm trying to figure out what the chronological timeline is because there are a few things like the battles, Kid's battle with Shanks, Laws with Blackbeard. There are a lot of plot points that, when looking at it based on the current day in story, make me question, are these events happening at the same time or different time frames? So I wanna go through different places and how I think we are gonna scale how the events happen in what timeline. So how I'm going to first of all decide how this goes off. So I'm gonna go off the basis of Luffy, Law, and Kid at the end of Wano picked on the eternal no on the log post of a new world with the three different cardinal points. They each picked one. Law chose to go northeast because it was the most direct route out of Wano. Kid went east, which was the second most direct, and Luffy went southeast, which was the least direct path. So, from what Law explained about how east is the most direct, northeast is the most direct, he will take it because it will be a shortest route. So, that's what I'm going with. I'm going with Law took northeast, which would be the fastest travel time to the next island. Kid's second fastest, Luffy the slowest. So, we're gonna start with Luffy because main character and kind of know. So the story says in the first chapter of Egghead, when they get to Egghead, it says a few days later aboard the Thousand Sunny. Now, Google says a few days can be give or take 4 days. So counting the 4 days from leaving Wano to reaching Egghead and meeting Bonnie, and then the next day for the Egghead Island incident, I believe we can say chapter 1120, the most recent chapter, takes place 5 days in story after they left Wano. And to my knowledge, they arrived in Egghead on the late afternoon to evening of the fourth day, and the Egghead Island incident was happening right now. The Gorosei fights, Vegapunk's message is happening on day 5 in the morning. It's a morning thing. It's the morning of the Egghead Island incident day. We also see Bonnie. Now, Bonnie is important to me because I like to also use Reverie. So, on the Reddit, there is 3 years ago, I've been looking at this for time. Some guidance analysis. I'll put it on screen. I'll also put it in the description so you can read what he says. Um, Reverie concluded 2 and a bit to 3 weeks ago, give or take. That's how long Reverie was from when Reverie ended to where the big story is when the Bonnie meets Luffy and Jinbei in the war meteor. So that accounts for her time travel and shows the Straw Hats arrived in the late evening, the day before the Egghead Island incident. So Van Augur, Law, Blackbeard. This is meaning about Van Augur. So in 1064, we see Law and his crew reach Winter Island, and they are already engaging in battle with Blackbeard and his crew. But most importantly, we need to look at Van Augur. The battle, from what the anime showed us and how I'm looking at it in the manga, this is an afternoon fight. So this fight happens chronologically. I say Law took the shortest journey. So if Google says a few days for Luffy to be 4 days, I'd say Law took 2 days to get from Wano to Winter Island. So it's the afternoon of day 2. So chronologically, it's been 2 days. And it's been 2 days since I left that. We also have to go back and look at Van Augur. So personally, Augur is one of the two main reasons why I decided to make this video, because in the covers page, the Jama 66's Emotionless Excursion, if I'm saying that right, Augur and Kuzan went to Totland to kidnap Pudding. This happened some point between Act 1 Wano, which was when Big Mom left Whole Cake, till about the day the raid concluded. So 2 weeks prior to the Straw Hats reaching Egghead. Because if you can remember, it was 2 weeks. They reached Wano. It was 2 weeks for the raid to happen. The raid took place at night, the whole night. In the morning, it was over. There was a week between Zoro and Luffy healing. There was the party. Then there was the 5 days from then to get to the Egghead Island incident day. So it was 2 weeks prior to the Straw Hats there. That's when Kuzan and Augur were in Whole Cake. So that accounts for why Kuzan is on, Hachinosu fighting Garp. I don't know where Garp, I won't talk about Garp and Sabo in this video. I don't know where they fit in the timeline. But that accounts for how Kuzan was already there and how Augur is here with Teach on Winter Island with Burgess and Docu. So, Law's route, 2 days. We've established that. And at the end of 1081, we see the Heart Pirates are soundly defeated. That's the end of Law in this bit. Where Law goes from here, I don't speculate in this video. I think we're still gonna see him. It's the way it was ended. I remember when this chapter it was a couple, I think there was a break after 1079. So it was a bit after when Kid was one tapped, and I can remember people were like, the way it was worded like there's a good chance Law is coming back. But I digress. Going back to Augur, we see Augur on Egghead Island on the day of the Egghead Island incident with Katarina touching Saturn to copy his devil fruit powers, because I know her mythical zone can do that. So I say, okay, they defeated Law. I say, so Law was fighting them in the afternoon of day 2. I say late afternoon, Law had lost. That's when the Polar Tang was completely destroyed. And then I feel, from my opinion, immediately after this, Augur left. He immediately left. Katarina Devon was already on her way to Egghead. Augur left Winter Island and just started warping with his fruit across the ocean, just warping. Because I don't think his warp works like Law's room where he switches with something else. I think he just, if he sees it, he can teleport there. So Augur warped, and I think at 1079, before the Kid and Shanks fight, we see Blackbeard's ship. So I think Devon was on that ship, but Augur wasn't with her. Because we saw the ship, but we did not see anything about them till the day of the Egghead Island incident. And they said their mission was done when they touched Saturn. That used to be like their only mission or something else. But going with just touching Saturn as their main mission, I say she was already there because they knew something was going to happen on Egghead. And they needed Augur to get there quickly. So Augur, from fighting with Law, teleported across, met Devon, I say, the night before the Egghead. So during the Egghead mystery part where they were looking for York when she kidnapped Stella. And then that's how I explain where Augur was, how Augur was in those 3 different places. So 2 weeks ago from the current chapter, 2 weeks ago from the Straw Hats reaching Egghead, Augur was on Totland with Kuzan. After that, 3 days ago in story, he was on Winter Island fighting Law and his crew. And now he has left Egghead with Devon after getting Caribou and touching Saturn and taking his powers. Now this could tie into the theory I've been pushing in every video, the last 3 videos, that with them getting Caribou, I see the cover story with Yamato could align where it can have a small time skip, like a day or 2 after the Egghead Island incident. Because I think right now it's behind them. It's immediately after Wano. So I think, like, I would say Yamato's cover story is happening 2 to 3 days after they left. So Around the time Law was fighting Blackbeard and Kid was fighting Shanks. So either Blackbeard gets there and then we don't see Yamato because she's already left or something. It must have had the cover story. I don't speculate on Yamato's cover story because it's still, we're only on volume 9, volume 10. And this week, I know 11/21, we're not getting a cover story. It's going to be a color spread. But anyway, now we turn to the mid pirates and Shanks, Oda's favorite character. And this has the second thing I'm going to talk about. So, in chapter 11:15, we see Damaru Black, the fake Luffy from Sabaody, and he is the fake Kid. So it's widely accepted that Damaru, when he sees in the news, and it's well known that a well-known pirate is no longer around, he goes and he takes over the identity. When Luffy was said missing in action, he took over the identity. So for Damaru to have been able to become Kid and be arrested, I feel like Kid has to have been defeated at least 2 days before the Egghead incident morning. So that's why I say Kid arrived from Wano to Elbaf. It took Kid 3 days and he arrived on the evening of day 3. That's why he met Shanks and all that, where he got one tapped and where Dory and Brogy fucking killed his crew. But, so, let's talk about the newspaper conundrum. So, the timeline, how it's working is 2 days after leaving Wano, Law fights Blackbeard, loses. Van Augur leaves to teleport a 2-day teleport to find his way on the night of day 4 to Egghead. So, either by day 3's afternoon or day 3's night, a story should have been posted on the One Piece newspapers. Trafalgar Law loses to Blackbeard on a fight in the New World. That happens. The next day, so if this happens, Kid, at the time the story is dropping, Kid would have been fighting Shanks. So Shanks wouldn't have known. Alright, let's go to Kid. Once Kid is defeated on the late afternoon of day 3, by the afternoon or night of day 4, when the Straw Hats reached Egghead and they were fighting Lucci, going through the whole murder mystery with York, all that, the story should have been posted, Captain Kidd destroyed by Shanks in the New World. So that's how those two stories are tied. However, I realize there is a bit of a problem here, which is Vivi and Morgans. Vivi and Morgans have been shown on the day of the Egghead Island incident. Listen to Vegapunk's message. They haven't mentioned anything. That could just be they don't have to listen to Vegapunk. But either way, we saw them, I think, the day before the Egghead Island incident. Or maybe we didn't. Maybe I'm misremembering. I'll put up on screen if I'm misremembering. But I know those two could make this timeline of the newspaper kind of wonky. But I believe that's kind of how the timeline looks. Where, to refresh, to conclude, this Luffy, Law, Kid leaving Wano. Law picks the fastest, Kid picks the second fastest, Luffy picks the slowest journey. Law ends up in the Winter Island Oceans, the water area, in the early afternoon to mid-afternoon of day 2, fights Blackbeard, and by late afternoon to the beginning of the evening, loses, giving Van Augur time to teleport from there to reach Egghead by the night of day 4. This would have a newspaper report out that would say Trafalgar Law loses to Blackbeard in the New World. This would release the afternoon of day 3 to the evening of day 3 or night of day 3, which would coincide with Shanks and Kid's fighting in Elbaf and Kid's destruction. So Kid would not be able to mention this, as he would not know, as he'd have been fighting Shanks and would have been destroyed. With this defeat, it would have been put on the newspaper the afternoon to the early evening of day 4 that Captain Kidd has lost in battle to Shanks in the New World. This would give the Morrow Black time to get his Kid cosplay, his crew together, go do things, be arrested to be in jail the morning of the Egghead Island incident, and also this will also coincide with Augur being on Egghead on the morning of the Egghead Island incident. Hopefully I can put up on screen what the timeline looks like if I can figure out how to make it. If not, you're gonna have to trust my word. But anyway, thank you for watching. I'll catch you all later. Peace.